Chapter 19. Mother was there first. Those of us who were away at college usually saw Mother 3 or 4 times a semester, as her lectures and business engagement took her across the country. Sometimes she'd be delivering a speech at the college itself and would arrange her schedule so she'd have a free day to visit. Sometimes her speech would be at a city near one of the colleges, and it was possible to cut classes, hear her lecture, and then visit with her at her hotel. Mother knew most of the presidents and many of the professors at the various colleges we attended. Usually, too, she knew the location of all the campus buildings, their nicknames, and the geography of the town. It was somewhat disillusioning for a wide-eyed freshman, importantly taking his female parent on a sightseeing tour of the institution, which he was sure would overwhelm her with its unique tradition and maze of modern complexities, to discover that she knew more about his university than he did. The Home Economics Building? The Home Ec Building certainly was one of the most modern in the country, Mother would agree, and would develop that she had made a speech in the building last year and had been on the program the year before when they dedicated it. The stadium? Old Horseshoe was mighty impressive, she would nod. Under cross-questioning, she might point out that she had received an honorary degree in ceremonies in the stadium a few years before. We chose our own college, but in most cases Mother had preceded us in the commencement parade. She had degrees from a dozen or more institutions, including Michigan, where Anne, Frank, and Jane were graduated from, Smith, where Ernestine and Lillian, Rutgers, the male half of Martha's college, New Jersey State College for women, Purdue, Bill, and Brown, Fred. To finish calling the roll, Dan received his diploma from the University of Pennsylvania, Jack from Princeton, and Bob from the University of North Carolina. Mother never sent tuition checks directly to our college. At the start of each year, she turned over to us, in one lump sum, enough money for our tuition and all other expenses. When you took out your own checkbook and paid the college registrar your tuition, you realized you were supposed to get something for your money. And all of us did, right in college. Mother spoke most often at Purdue, in West Lafayette, Indiana, where Bill was enrolled. Purdue was opening a motion study laboratory, and Mother was going to become a professor of management there. She intended to take a new job in addition to all her old ones, and to commute from Montclair to the campus once a month, for a week or so of teaching. On one occasion when Mother was at Purdue, she was asked unexpectedly to speak before a large lecture class in which Bill was enrolled. Bill didn't know about the invitation. It was an 8 o'clock class, and he picked that particular morning to oversleep. Bill's professor told the students they were fortunate in having a distinguished engineer in their midst. She was Dr. Lillian Gilbreth, and it was gratifying to him that one of Dr. Gilbreth's sons was a member of that very class, and doubtless intended some day to follow in his mother's footsteps. He cleared his throat and started to call roll, all the way from the A's down to the G's. Mother's eyes roved the auditorium, searching for Bill. She was sitting on a platform in a chair next to the professor's table. "Gibbs," said the professor. "Here." "Gilbert." "Here." "Gilbreth." There was an awkward pause while Mother blushed and stopped searching. The professor looked up, cleared his throat again, this time with disapproval, and repeatedly said, "Gilbreth?" A number of Bill's friends sensed the situation simultaneously and thought they'd better come to the rescue. "Here," a dozen voices answered from all corners of the room. The professor put down his roll book and looked bleakly at Mother. He didn't say so, but she gathered the look was intended to convey that he had to put up with a great deal, not the least of which was having Bill as a student. He glared at his audience, seeking to find the offenders who had answered to Bill's name. "There seem to be," he said sarcastically, "a good many Gilbreths here today." "The whole family," Mother announced brightly, regaining her poise and favoring him with her warmest smile. "That's nice." The professor, who hadn't seen as much of Bill that semester as he thought he should have, didn't think it was nice at all. He licked his pencil and made a show of making a large 0 in his grade book, opposite Bill's name. "Goldsmith," he said precisely, continuing the roll. Bill spent the afternoon and night with Mother, so he didn't see any members of his class during the remainder of the day. Mother didn't mention to him that she had spoken to his group, or knew that he had cut class. She thought he was old enough to make his own decisions, and it wouldn't be giving him a sense of responsibility if she seemed to be checking on him. She did spend a good deal of time, though, telling him how she was studying the emotions of physical disabled persons, as to help them find jobs in industry. Bill was interested, and he and Mother looked over her notes and her photographs and diagrams of the project. Bill was a little late, but present for the next lecture class the next morning. He slid into the seat just as the professor finished calling the C's in the roll book, and he was well settled by the time the professor reached the G's, and finally Bill's name. When the professor had run through the list, he told the class he was going to have a written quiz. I'm sure all of you must have learned a great deal from our visitor yesterday, he said. So today I'm going to ask you to write a little summary giving the high points of the talk. Bill squirmed uncomfortably and wished he had cut class again. He nudged the boy sitting next to him. Who, Bill asked out of the corner of his mouth, did the old fool drag over here yesterday? Are you kidding? No, I wasn't here yesterday. I overslept. You overslept, the boy mimicked. It was your own mother, you stupid jackass. Ah, Bill grunted, sinking down in his chair and wishing he could continue through the floor. Everyone else in the room was writing. You could hear the pen scratching and papers rustling as pages turned. Bill hoped no one would notice that he alone was sitting there doing nothing. He nudged his neighbor again. Would you mind telling this stupid jackass, Bill apologized, what my mother talked about? Motion study for the disabled. Thanks, Bill grinned, and he started writing too.